All right, so we're recording, and this is Realvolve office hours. And today we're actually talking about more of a beginner subject. We're talking about the Realvolve Kickstart document that we have. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to click share up here, and I'm just going to copy this link, and I'm going to paste this link in the chat. So let me just kind of go and pick this up. And I'm going to paste this in there so that every one of you can access this. Essentially, what the Realvolve Kickstart document is, it's a list of best practices. Little things that we think your account will go better, more smoothly if you do these things. And what I'm going to do, just ever so quickly, probably take about half an hour, is I'm going to go through this Kickstart document. I'm just going to sort of do a quick run through of it and show you the places on the site that we're talking about, because we want you to fill in these areas and fields, because ultimately you're going to reap a benefit for it. And so, so starting at the very top, you know, the Realvolve Kickstart document starts with this thing called Everyday Best Practices. And if you click on that link that I put in the chat there, you can actually look up the Kickstart document yourself. And you can just bookmark this. This is a site, you know, this is a web page that we have up, and you can check it anytime you want. And this might even be useful for people who maybe are training in your office, who need like a really quick reference. But everyday best practices, what we have is we have a list of 4 things. We have, you know, checking the bell for new notifications, open your Realvolve dashboard and complete all activities that are due and overdue. I mean, these seem obvious, but check your contact cross-section for any Realvolve and resolve any alerts. And of course, then we've got this little tips and tricks, and this is just how to make workflow edits. And if you click right here, you can actually, it'll open up a video here. And we've actually got a really good video from Carrie, who's one of our Navigator specialists. And you know, it's just a quick 9-minute video on how to edit a workflow. And so, you know, part of your job, maybe you're on the admin side, or maybe you're just a solo agent, or maybe a mix of it. You can go in here and you can check out this video. It's really useful. And so, but checking the bell for new notifications, what do we mean by that? Well, this is my Realvolve account up here. And as you can see, you know, this is my normal dashboard. And the first thing that you're going to notice is I've got this little bell up here. This is what we're talking about. This bell is your alert. So maybe someone responded to a text message that you sent, or maybe you had a lead come in from Zapier, or maybe a workflow was started, or you got an email. These, your workflow, your notifications are all going to show up right here whenever you have any kind of a, you know, alert that you need to tend to. Now, the second item that we have, and I'm looking over at my other computer here, is to complete all activities that are due and overdue. So what we're talking about here, and this is really important, is learning to use Realvolve. One of the most fundamental and important things that you need to do whenever you're using the system is just learning to log in. And honestly, you really want to log into Realvolve, I would say, obviously once a day. And you probably need to spend an hour to an hour and a half in Realvolve, unless you've got things like really tidied up. That's my best advice for everybody. So the first thing that you're going to do when you log in is you're going to look in this left column here with the circle with the check mark. And I've got a number 2 right here. So I've got 2 activities. If I scroll down, ooh, okay, I'm not doing a great job. I've got a to-do on August 10th to prepare my newsletter. And so let's go ahead and, you know, I would click this here. And whenever I do that, I've got myself a little checklist. So, you know, check, you know, X for latest content, import Realvolve newsletter template. So, you know, these are just little to-do steps that I have. And if I check these both off, we'll say that I've done those, and I hit save and close, I've done that activity. This one right here, this is an interesting and important one to show. That's my buddy Dave. His birthday is August 16th, and I have that recorded in Realvolve. Because I have it recorded, it gives me an automatic update on the day of. And so, you know, today is the 18th, so I'm a couple days late, but if I just check here, it just goes away. So it's literally just an alert that I want to check. But that covers that one step that we're talking about here, which is open your dashboard and complete all activities that are due or overdue. Now, this check your contact cross-section for and resolve any alerts. Well, if I go here, you can actually see I've kind of got a lot of alerts in my contact cross section. Let me zoom in, and I'm going to refresh my page. You want to do that whenever you zoom in and out because it kind of throws off the calibration. But the contact cross section is right here, and the contact cross section has some some news for me. I've got a 5 here, and it's at the intersection of past client and trust. And now past client, that is a setting that I can set up. That is a stage, or rather, I'm sorry, a status. And aware, know, like, and trust, those are stages in Realvolve. And so what we can do is we can go here and we can look and we can see this number 5. And if I click it, yeah, I mean, look at this. Paul Passbyer, it's been 125 days since I last called him. Darko, it's been 126. It's been 168 days since I called that guy. And Mary and Jim, those are my mom and dad. I actually talked to them recently. In fact, it was as soon as yesterday. So what I would do to resolve these is I would click on Mary, and I could click here and add a note. Just had a good visit. And I could put in 8/19, right? And just hit save. So that's one thing that I could do. But I could also click on this calendar, and I could actually just add last personal date and just click today. Easy enough, right? And then I hit my back button, and now she's gone. And we'll just do the same thing with dear old dad here. Last personal visit date was today, even though it was yesterday. It's not that big of a deal. But you see now, when I click back, I've only got 3 people in this trust category. So the contact cross section, what it's doing is it's actually alerting me depending on the stage and status of an individual, and you can see how they intersect. In fact, if I go to client and a number 2 right here, look at this, James Kirk and Stephen Granger. Okay, so James Kirk, he's out there with the Enterprise right now, soaring the stars. And Stephen here, yeah, I've lost contact with him. So maybe what I need to do with Stephen is click here, and I need to write him a text message, which I can easily do. And so that's what that would do. And, or maybe, I could give him a call, right? And if I do give him a call, what I would do is I would just go through here and I would just update last call date. And I would say that would be today. And so now that I've done that, now I've only got 1 person under client. Or who's the client that likes me? Oh, Brian Blade. Okay, yeah. And then I've got 3 leads that know me. And if I click here, you can see who these are: Karen, Ian, and Nathan. Okay, yeah. So I probably need to catch back up with these individuals. The contact cross section is essentially helping me know when someone is about to fall through the cracks, or maybe they already have, and I need to get back up on the horse, give them a call, have a personal visit, send them a text message. I would say this about the contact cross section. If you send someone a text from the contact cross section, go ahead and mark it as a call, because the thing that will take someone out of the contact cross section, an email won't do it. Only a personal interaction, like a phone call or a personal visit. But I think in today's day and age, you can have which for some people would feel like a true conversation via text. So go ahead, and if you text someone, hello, especially if they respond, go ahead and count that as a call and update that last date. But that's just kind of good to check out. Now, one of the other things that I can do from the contact cross section, we'll do it right now. Let's go back to lead, and let's go to Ian. And now that we've opened Ian up here, I can just click on Ian's name. And what it's doing is it's just opening up a new window for me, or rather a new tab. And this is Ian's contact information. And I wanted to do this. This is Ian's contact record. And let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit so that we can see it a little bit better. I will zoom back out to 100%. We're looking at Ian's contact record here. And what we're going to do is we are going to go back over to the Kickstart document. And for adding contacts, first of all, you'll notice here that there is a help document. So if I click on that document here, we've actually included in the Kickstart document, just a very simple, how to, but we've got a list of bullet points that I just want to run through really quick. So obviously, whenever you're creating a contact, this gives you some instructions on how to make it, but I want to just go over this really quick. For every contact, make sure you have completed the following under the Contact tab. So what is the Contact tab? I'll show you. The Contact tab, when you're in a contact record, is just this second one right here. So if we click on it, this is our Contact tab. And let's go back and read what it says. It says, add contact information under the Home section. Be sure to include home address, home mobile, and home email. Okay, so what we're talking about is this little home section right here. So this is Ian's number right here. Oh, and you know what? You know what the problem is? I haven't done this properly. There we go. So let's do that really quick here. 1506 Mo 32. And then we'll do Bolivar Mo 61613. And then what I'll do is I'll clean this up a little bit right here. We'll do this, Mo 32. There we go. And we'll just kind of clean that up a little bit here. We'll hit save. And hopefully here, we might get a Google map out of that one. This is a rural address, so it might be a little tricky. But here's the point that I'm trying to draw us to. I'm filling in the home information because Ian, in theory, is a client of mine or a lead. Whenever we're dealing with contacts that we want to do business with or we have done business with, not business contacts, we would put their information in under home. I'm going to refresh my browser really quick here just so we can see that updated. Okay, so this is actually inaccurate, but it doesn't matter. That's for the best. Little map of Bolivar, Missouri there. But we've got the home information filled in, phone number, email. Work here, this is where you would put in like your vendor's information. And we do want you to put in your vendors in Realvolve. It could be another agent, it could be your inspector, or it could be your appraiser, it could be the other, it could be title company, whatever the case is, put a vendor's information in under work. And then let's go back over here. Yeah, in fact, it even says, if adding a vendor or another agent, add their contact information under the work section. Now, we also want you to designate as A, B, C, or D. And you can see here that I've got Ian as a C. A, B, C, D, just really quick. A D is like an unverified lead. Or maybe it's someone that you just need to find out if they're looking to buy or sell. A D could also be, just a prospect. You can think of it that way. Or maybe you've got a geo farm that you're working. And you've got, a roster that you've somehow, managed to import into Realvolve. Maybe you got a spreadsheet or something of a large subdivision or something. All those people, until you verify if they are looking to buy or sell, those people are Ds. And with Ds, we either want to get them in or get them out, basically, right? A C in Realvolve is a verified lead. It's someone that is definitely looking to buy or sell. It might be long-term, it might be short-term, but you're looking to do it with them. You want their business. And so a C is what we would kind of consider a verified lead. A B is a person that is a one-time current or past client, right? So I'll say that again. It's a current client or a past client that's just done one thing with you, right? So like maybe they've bought with you, or maybe they've sold with you. Now, if someone's done multiple deals with you, or maybe they've done a single deal, but they've referred multiple people to you, that is when you go from being a B to an A. So an A is essentially like a VIP contact for you. They have been a source for multiple transactions for you, and you want to treat them with sort of the white glove treatment. We're getting a question. If I'm adding contacts without emails or phone to use for sending letters, is that workable? Oh, okay. So Um, so I think if I'm sending or if I'm adding contacts without emails, so are you just talking about like their home address? Um, because you can definitely get someone's home address in Realvolve, and that's okay. Ideally, over time, maybe that's all you've got to start with. I would just say, obviously, at some point, the race is on to, you want to manage those people and you want to manage their, their status and all that stuff. But eventually, you do want to get, the, oh yeah, expired or FISBO, yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. I would say with those, you definitely want to import them in, and I would definitely list them as a D, right? So I would also say that with those, you probably just want to use a series of either tags or notes to just kind of indicate like where they're at in your process. Another thing that you can do, and this is actually really important, let me show you on the Kickstart document here. Um, in terms of ABCD, um, we want you to complete the classifications. And so the classifications are these right here. And so you will want to, as you can, look to fill in the contact type, which is, agent, farm, personal. That's like a geo farm, right? Uh, you know, get that. Well, no, I don't want hidden client. Stage, aware, know, like, and trust, right? So what do these people, how do they feel about you? Do they even know who you are, right? So that's like kind of like what that is. If someone's doing multiple deals with you, they trust you. Um, but then you've got lead status, suspect, prospect, lead, client, past client. Like you want to just go ahead and try to track those, and even client type, buyer, seller, seller, buyer, rent. So you want to try to fill those in as much as you possibly can. Um, and hmm, do you want to print letters separately or as a group? So I mean, ultimately, what you're going to probably end up doing is you're going to take all of your contacts and you're going to, basically export those contacts, and in order to like print your like labels and things like that, like for like a mass mailer. um you can write the letter in Realvolve, but if you're going to like do like a letter that you're going to be sending out, um you know I would definitely, yeah, I would, yeah, that would be interesting how you would do that. We'll have to maybe have more of a discussion about that. Are you wanting to basically get people in Realvolve and then use Realvolve to print letters? Is that sort of the idea? Oh yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Um, so in order to do that, Realvolve does not have, in a sense, that sort of direct, from the template print option. And so that might be something that we might want to discuss, how we might make that possible though. Because it seems to me like what you probably want to do is you want to be able to print letters, but you want to be able to have, the recipient's name on the letter, and you don't want to have to go through each and every single one to do it yourself, unless you wanted to do something like print the letter and then just sort of write the salutation or the greeting, by hand or something like that. Um, so yeah, that would be interesting. I'd be curious to kind of talk to you more about how you would want to do that. That's because yeah, that would be a big, that would be really important to want to, make sure that you have the proper names on there and everything. In most cases, what people will do if they have like a newsletter that they want to send out that's like a printed newsletter, what they will do is they will create their list in Realvolve. They might call it like a newsletter list or something like that. And they'll use a newsletter tag, and they will export all of their newsletter people. They'll combine spouses together. And what they'll do is, they'll get like a basic, file. And from there, they would print their, envelopes or their, their labels, and then they would send out the letters like that. And so, um, snail mail is not as utilized as it once was, but I really do think it can be a powerful tool. And so, Um, I would be curious if you have, with Realvolve, any sort of one-on-one training that you've enrolled in. Even if it's just like a fast start or something like that, where you might have a couple one-on-ones with somebody. Chances are, if you did, that would be directly what they would work with you on, because it sounds like it's a really high priority for you. Um, Still, though, in that case, I would still highly recommend coming up with a form or fashion for getting those phone numbers and emails into Realvolve so that you can also do electronic outreach. And it might be something as simple as, just getting you know, a millennial or, a college student to, just sit down with your cell phone, or, your Rolodex even, and just like copy those into Realvolve. Because you definitely, the best part about having Realvolve as a CRM is, once you get it all together, you can always export those files, and then you've got a clean spreadsheet of all your data. Um, Speaking of, oh yeah, okay. And this is just kind of obvious, but adding as much as possible in this tab will help a person's relationship score. So if you actually click on relationship score right here, we actually have a document that explains what the relationship scores mean and what they're for and why we bother to track that to begin with. And then so if we look at Ian here, Ian's got a 46 score. We've got 20 points for our relationship. We've got some time points, some category points. That's the letter C right there. And we've got details. I've got details about Ian. And so all of those things come together to give Ian a 46 score. I've got other people who are much higher. Like if I go to Jim Shawley here, he's got a 96, right? And so the point is, the Kickstart document here is trying to basically get you to understand that these are the things that sometimes go missed, but we want people to fill in. Namely, the category, which is A, B, C, or D. The classifications, which again are right here under classifications. We want people to, add in last points of personal contact if possible. To do that, you would actually go down to contact dates. And I've got last call date, last email, last personal visit. Oh yeah, August 18th. I just did that on the contact cross section. Last personal note, last SMS or text, and even a postponed contact date that happened back on the 20th of June. So, and I can also fill in source details. The more information we fill in on this contact page, the better. Now, going back to the dashboard really quick here, on the Kickstart document, we have this little bit for buyers. When you have a buyer, what we advise that you do is this: just add a buyer as a contact. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into Realvolve here, and you're just going to hit your plus button, and you're going to add a contact, and that's going to be your buyer. Once under contract, what you're going to do is you're going to create a transaction. And to do that, you're going to go in here, you're going to hit your plus button, and you're going to create a transaction. So there's that. And you're going to add all the appropriate dates under the transaction tab and all applicable parties under the people tab. So if I were to go over here, just really quick, into my transactions, and I've got a few of them in here. We'll go to 110 East Freeman. If I click on this, you can see here that I have an address. And if I go to the transaction tab, I have, I really haven't filled in the dates very well. But if I go to the people tab over here, you can see that I've got title, my listing coordinator, photographer, sellers, seller agent, stager. And like if I have a buyer, what I would do at this point, like if I had created a buyer, like let's say it was my guy Donan here, I would just drag and drop Donan in there, and he actually lives in Shanghai. That's a crazy phone number right there. But that right there is how I would add those people. And of course, I've got buyer agent, buyer referred by, home inspector, loan officer, lender, closing attorney, all those things. Like let's say that Davis here is my home inspector, and Ken, he's my closing attorney, right? So that's how we basically fill in our party members whenever we're doing a transaction. But the point here in the Kickstart document is sometimes people don't know what to do in Realvolve whenever they get that buyer. because when you get a listing in Realvolve, you create a property and then you kind of go through the steps. But with buyers, it's not as obvious. So with a buyer, all you have to do is create the contact, and make sure and use tags too. Make sure and give it a buyer tag so that it's easy to find. You can even give them like a zip code that they're looking for as a tag, or a price range, for example. Just any which way that you can easily find them, right? And the reason that you would do that is, if we go to our dashboard, and let's say I've got a tag in Realvolve called buyer, I can go to my search box up there in the upper left and just type in the word buyer. Yeah, and I got Brian, Rachel, and Steven right there. Those are 3 buyers for me. And the reason that that got looked up is because I have them tagged as buyers. Like if I click on Brian here, check it out. I go to his radar tab, and yeah, I've got buyer tag written right there. He's also an active seller, by the way, and he came from Firepoint. But it's just really important that you get those people marked up as much as possible. Just some proper, tips for properties and for transactions. And a lot of these are pretty, kind of universal principles. But again, this is all in the Kickstart document. What we want to do in properties, and of course, you've got a document that you can always look up. We want to double check that sellers, title, people, listing coordinator, marketing assistant, all these people are in your database. So what that basically means is the people that you work with, whether it's your title person or your closing attorney or your inspector, your loan officer, lender, or mortgage broker, whatever term you use, your people, the vendors that you work with, are in Realvolve. And in addition, you have their information under work, not personal, unless you're going to end up doing business with them personally. To create a property in Realvolve, you're going to, of course, go into Realvolve, hit your plus button, and create a property or listing. That's what properties are. Properties are listings. You're going to verify the correct status. So what is that? So let's look at some of my properties in here. So we'll go back to 110 East Freeman here. And you can see this is where you set up the status. Is it withdrawn or pre-listed or potential or expired or delayed or closed? That's where you would figure this in. In addition, you're going to verify, you're going to add the property address, list price, and expiration date. Okay, where do we do that? Well, if I go here, you'll notice listing price, listed, and expiration date right there. I've got those 3 things. I need to fill in the expiration date here. Complete the people tab with applicable parties. Okay, so the people tab is right here. It's this 3rd one. I'm kind of whirling around there. If I click on that, you can see I've got my people tab here. And by and large, it's pretty well filled in. The only one I don't have is HOA, but if I recall, this one doesn't have an HOA anyway. So that's why it's empty. And it's okay to leave that blank. Outside of that, you're going to go to the listing tab and complete important details and date fields. Okay, so let's look at that. This is the listing tab. Yeah, okay. And I've got most of these filled in. I've got summary, unique features, important listing notes, details, important dates, association details. I've got most of this filled in. I don't have photography or staging or open date, broker open date, staging, or open house. But still, I've got a lot of those filled in. And then what we do is we just try to explain to you that pre-MLS is for once a listing agreement has been signed, and you're going to change your status to active once it's active on the MLS. And again, so like right now we're pre-listed, but as soon as we're live on the MLS, we're going active right there, and you're going to change that status. And then once a property goes under contract, change the status in the drop-down menu from active to pending. And you need to specifically go from active to pending, because it's going to prompt you to copy your property and make it a transaction. So what it will do is, when I go from here, we'll go to active, right? And now from active, we're going to go to pending. And this is where Realvolve says, oh, would I like to add a transaction for this property? And I'm going to say no, because I'm not trying to do that. And we'll just go ahead and take this back to pre-listing here. But that's basically the way that that works. And once I do officially go active, it will become a transaction in Realvolve. And then under transactions here, what we want to do is we want to similar things. We want to verify that the title company and seller, buyer, transaction coordinator, loan officer, lender, all the applicable people are in your Realvolve database. And you're going to want to add all applicable parties under the people tab. So for a transaction, if I go to a transaction, it doesn't matter which one, 220 East Locust, for example. I want to verify that my people tab is filled in. And this one is pretty much filled in, though it is missing a few things in here. I want to add all important contractual dates under the transaction tab. So if I go to the transaction tab, yeah, I've actually got like a lot of dates in here that I need to go ahead and fill in that I haven't filled in. What else? Once a transaction closes, be sure to do the following so your dashboard widget populates properly. So check this out. Change the status of the transaction to closed. Okay, so this one is changed to closed. Verify the close date is in the current year. Oh, closing date 2020. Oh, whoops. Okay. There we go. I had made that mistake. Okay, so there we go. Verify the sale price is listed. It is 600 even. From there, verify the sale price is listed, did that. In the transaction tab, verify that either buying only or selling only or buying and selling is selected based on the information. So basically here, it's like this one I was selling only, it's under transaction type. But I could change it to buying and selling if I wanted to, like, or any of those. And I see that question, I'm definitely gonna try to get to that. The agent must be identified as the buyer or seller agent in the people tab. Okay, so what's that? So this is the people tab, and I should be identified as the listing or seller agent, and here I am. I've got that figured out. The agent identified must be the linked contact. Okay, so that basically means that the contact that I used as an agent is the one that has, let's see if I can find myself. Yeah, right down there, Mike Shawley. It's got that little silhouette next to it. That is my linked contact. That is the contact of me that Realvolve associates with ownership of the account. And so if I were to put in, Joe Terry or Mike Moon in seller agent, I wouldn't be getting credit for this transaction. I have to use the contact of myself that Realvolve associates with the account itself. Then the numbers should display in 5 minutes or less, but they can take a little longer. The commission shown is the gross commission, less brokerage fee and any referral, not the net. That's important to know. And you can only see the stats for the person who's logged in. That's another thing that's really important. But, if I go here to the commission tab, this is my, commission here. It's 15,200. And if I go to the dashboard here, yeah, this is my year-to-date commission, my year-to-date volume, average sale price, average commission. So I've got that information sitting right there. And so that right there, though, is the kind of conclusion of the transaction section. So this Kickstart document really is, it's for you to use if you want it. I'll include a link to it also in the Facebook group. But this is basically what the Kickstart document is for, is just to remind you of some best practices and some things that you want to make sure that you're using when you're inputting information in Realvolve. You want to make sure that you get all those fields filled in. And let's check this out really quick here. Okay, so what we're going to do really quick, in fact, I think actually right now is a good time to stop the recording. And then, I'll just kind of start answering some of your personal questions. So anyway, if you had a chance to watch this, I hope you have a great day. But otherwise, I'm going to stick here with the people who are actually in the room with me.